The Sex of 4 Whores by Arthur Conan Doyle. Chapter 1. The Science of Dicks. Sherlock Holmes took his penis out. He looked at me steadily. The languor had gone from his eyes. They suddenly glared. There was a gleam of teeth from between those cruel lips. Suddenly he sprang from his chair, vibrating with nervous energy and the pressing need for action. He threw me over the bed. With his long, white, nervous fingers, he rolled up my trousers. For some little time his eyes rested thoughtfully upon the exposed behind, all dotted and scarred with innumerable puncture marks. Finally, he thrust the sharp point home with exceptional violence, and now I could only scream and shriek and sob like a child. As I turned, I caught a glimpse of a convulsed face and frantic eyes. Never have I seen features so deeply marked with all bestiality and cruelty. His small eyes glowed and burned with a sombre light, and his thick lips were writhed back from his teeth, which grinned and chattered with half-animal fury. Never have I seen a penis as Holmes that night. That dick was enough to give a man a sleepless night. "Come, Watson, come!" he cried, and lashed furiously with his cane. When he came, it was a dreadful cry that he gave, a yell which might have been heard down the street. My skin went cold and my hair bristled at that horrible scream. It swelled up louder and louder, a hoarse yell of pain and fear and anger, all mingled in the one dreadful shriek. They say that away down in the village, and even in the distant parsonage, that cry raised the sleepers from their beds. He had ceased to strike, and sank back with a long sigh of satisfaction. "I'm somewhat exhausted. I wonder how a battery feels when it pours electricity into a non-conductor. At 6, Watson, we resume." I sat in silent dejection until the stipulated time had passed. But it was destined to be resumed long before that hour. 10 minutes later we were in the study. Holmes was whipping me with his belt as Lestrade entered. The detective stared with blank amazement. "What's this, then?" said Lestrade at last. "What have you been doing all this time?" "I got your wire last night, and I have been expecting you. Come and join us," said Holmes. "I don't mind if I do," the detective answered, though I thought from his expression that he was pleased at my expression of horror and of hatred. Lestrade took off his coat and trousers. I remember that I thought to myself as I eyed him that I had seldom seen a more powerfully built man. His eyes looked malignantly at me. Lestrade mounted my backside. I heard a little sigh of satisfaction as he slapped my butt, but before he got quite through, Gregson burst into our sitting-room, and then Athelney Jones of Scotland Yard. And so it went on again and again, and again, and again and again. Athelney Jones was closely followed by an inspector in uniform, followed by a great crowd of Mormons, strong, laughing children, and anxious, earnest-eyed men. It was a long day. Every time that a knock came to the door or a sharp step passed in the street, I knew that it would be even more painful than before. The room was quite crowded. From behind me I could hear the murmur of many voices arguing that it was their turn. Suddenly a terrible scream broke out into a sharp, querulous cry. That frightful cry turned the blood to ice in my veins. "Oh, my God!" I gasped. Holmes put his lips to my ear. "That is the baboon," he murmured. 3 times a day for many months I had witnessed this performance, but custom had not reconciled my mind to it. On the contrary, from day to day I had become more irritable, and my conscience swelled nightly within me at the thought that I had lacked the courage to protest.